Hey, what's going on, Jam fam? So I've reviewed Brawl Talk and I watched a little bit of the sneak peeks that just dropped today, and I am ready to go over what I think are the W's and L's coming in this upcoming update. Now, obviously, every update's gonna have good and bad things in it, and I'm gonna point those out and talk about what I think about all this stuff as we go through this video. And as always, you guys can let me know what you guys think about it down in the comments. But let's get into it. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to talk about is star drops. Now, I don't know whether I should actually put star drops as a W or an L, and I'm very much on the fence about this stuff in general. So on one hand, a lot of the rewards seem really good. So obviously you can get coins and power points, which is always great to have. I'm pretty sure most players are going to want that stuff. You can also get whole pins and skins, which I think is great. It saves you bling, and you just get this stuff just for playing the game. So that's amazing too. But then the other drop is just credits. Now, for me personally, I'm not a huge fan of that because I have every brawler, so the credits are just going to turn into fame. And because they didn't add anything to fame for me, I am not going to get excited about that at all. So that kind of sucks. But if you're a player that doesn't have all the brawlers, those credits are going to go towards your star road, and it's going to work you towards getting your next brawler. So that's very cool. And you can get a whole brawler out of this too. So that's just another bonus for you there. But the big point of contention for me, and the reason why I don't want to say star drops is an outright W right away, is because they're nerfing rewards from other aspects of the game. So that kind of kills it for me a little bit. So what I mean by this is if you look at the end of the Brawl Pass rewards, you're receiving 95 less coins, you're receiving 22 less power points, and you're basically getting no credits. They nerfed the credits from 25 down to 5, which is basically nothing. So what this is going to do is going to change your end of season grind into semi-rewarding, because you can earn a decent amount of coins and power points just by grinding the end of the Brawl Pass, into basically pointless, and you're basically just going to be playing for fun if you enjoy that type of thing, and I kind of hate that, honestly. And another example of this is going to be Power League. They nerfed the rewards for Power League by 50% across the board, and honestly, I'm not a fan of that. Between the changes they made to the reset last season and now the nerf rewards this season, it's just a very frustrating experience for people who actually play Power League. And I say this as someone who doesn't even play Power League, that it should not be like this. If you want Power League to be the end game grind for most players, then you should not feel the need to just constantly keep resetting that stuff and making it worse to play, because no one's going to play it anymore. You're pushing people back towards ladder, and I don't feel like that's the way the game should be. So in conclusion about star drops, I am semi a fan of them because the rewards are nice, and getting pins and skins out of them is kind of exciting, so I do like the hype behind that. But I hate how much they've nerfed rewards in other aspects of the game, and honestly, it kind of makes some things like Power League feel very pointless. So that's why I can't call it a W or an L, because there's good things and there's bad things about it. So I just wanted to talk about that right at the top of the video. Let's move on to the next subject now. All right, so the first big W for me is going to be the Brawlers. Now, right off the bat, I'm going to say that I'm not a huge fan of getting another 2 Brawlers because, like I've said many times in the past, I do feel like the roster is getting very bloated, so I'm not excited about 2 more Brawlers being added into the game. But my favorite thing about this set of Brawlers here is that they both feel pretty unique, and I'm excited to play both of them personally. All right, so first off, let's talk about Cordilious. Now, while I hate his name, I think it's a very dumb name. I think he's got a very cool design. First off, he looks great, and second off, he's got really cool lore, so I think that's great. I think overall, Cordilious is just a very interesting brawler. Second off, you look at his base kit, and he seems like he's going to be a very fun brawler to play. He's got good damage, and he's got a very fast movement speed, so typically those brawlers tend to be a little more fun to play. I think of brawlers like Leon or BB, and those brawlers rank towards the top for me personally, so I'm excited to try him out. But then, obviously, the most unique thing about Cordilious is going to be his super. We don't have another brawler quite like him where he can pull people into like another world and basically enter everyone into a 1v1 match, which I think is amazing. And if you're a very good player, you're going to be able to carry a lot of matches just being able to cycle supers and taking people out one at a time. So I think that's great. I'm probably going to be terrible with Cordilious, but I'm excited to try him out and see how I actually do when I play him. And then we got Doug. I think his design is amazing. I think he's adorable, and I am excited to get this brawler. I'm not gonna lie. Now, I totally understand the argument that he might be a boring brawler. After all, his attack is literally just a circle around him, much like Jackie or even like Hank. I would listen to that argument as well, but I'm just excited to play this brawler. I think he's great. He's a tank brawler that can also heal, and he wants to heal based on a radius around him, so he wants to be with his team as he moves up a map. So in a mode like Brawl Ball or Heist, he's going to be amazing, and he's definitely going to thrive in those metas. And then he can revive people if he gives them a hot dog, which A, I think is hilarious because he's just giving them a hot dog and that revives them, which makes no sense really, but whatever. And then B, they're adding revive back into the game after the fiasco that happened with 8-Bit's Extra Life. It's really weird that they would want to do that, but whatever. I'm here for it. I can't wait to play Doug. He might be one of my favorite brawlers after the update. Who knows? So overall, the Brawlers are a big W for me. I think they're great, and I can't wait to get my hands on them. All right, real quick, let's go over small W, and that's going to be the skin remodels. Now, there were a lot of skins in the game that are not worth spending bling on, and it is nice to see them going back and touching some of these skins up to actually justify wanting to spend bling on them now. Both Smuggler Penny and Phoenix Crow got remodeled, and those both look great now. And they took Iris Tara, which is a skin I would never tell anyone to buy, and they made it into Stara, and I think that is great. I think it's a really nice rework of a skin that was just a recolor of a brawler, so that's cool. And then Darktide Carl got reworked, and while I'm not the biggest fan of this remodel of the skin, because I did like the black and brown colors of the other one, if you like this one, that's cool. Skins are subjective, so if you're a fan of it, good for you. If not, you're just like me. But like I said, seeing them go back and rework skins that aren't necessarily worth bling is a nice touch to the game. It does show that they are willing to keep working on these types of systems, so I'm a fan of it, and I'm going to call it out here. It's a W for me. All right, first L I'm going to call out in this video is going to be the game modes. The game modes we're getting this summer are very lackluster, and I am not excited to play any of them at all, personally. Now, I'll be totally upfront. I was definitely hoping that we were going to see either Present Plunder or Trophy Thief, whatever you want to call it nowadays. I was hoping to see that get added back into the game, but we didn't get that. Instead, we're getting Payload, Takedown, and Wipeout again. So first off, I am going to point out that they did rework Payload, so it might be better this time around, but it was a total dud the first time it came out, and people are very hard to get over their first impressions of a game mode. So there are going to be people who don't even want to touch Payload just based off the last time it was out. So I don't see it ever really being popular right now, but I might be wrong. It might be way better, and it might be actually fun to play. We'll find out. But then we're getting Takedown, and basically Takedown is just a DPS check. Colt and Pam and some other brawlers are going to dominate the meta. It's going to be very stale, and it's going to be very boring to play. So I'm not excited to do it. I will bang out my quest for it, but that's about it. And then we're getting Wipeout. Now, I have said in the past that Wipeout is one of my more preferred modes of Brawl Stars, but ever since they added the cap to bounty, I feel like Wipeout is very redundant in the game now, because the benefit of it was that there was a cap and the matches could go very quickly, but now bounty has that feature as well, so it seems like bounty is just like the more superior version of Wipeout. So I'm not a huge fan of seeing Wipeout being added back in, because it's just bounty again, so whatever. So overall, not excited about these 3 game modes being added back into the game, so that's going to be an L. I feel like it's going to get very stale towards the end of the season here, so yeah, overall, not excited. All right, next up, I got another W, and that's going to be the quest rework. Now, this is a small quality of life change. Some people won't even notice it because they just do their quests without even caring about it. But me personally, I've always been a little irked with our quest system in this game, and I'm excited to see it get touched up a little bit to make it a little more approachable for some people like me. So my big issue with quests has always been that it seems like you either get game modes or brawlers that you don't want to play, and it forces you into a playstyle that you don't enjoy until you get the rewards for that quest. So when they added the reroll feature, that helped that situation a little bit, but they still limited how many rerolls you get per week, so it wasn't fully solved. And now I think that this change, where you get brawler groups instead of one specific brawler, I think that helps address that problem a little bit more. And I don't know if it's going to be fully resolved, but I feel like for the most part, it's going to be a lot more approachable, and it's going to be easier to complete your quests now. And then they also added the feature where you can work through your Brawl Pass quest before you actually buy the Brawl Pass. I think that's really nice, especially for free-to-play players that are waiting a little bit to unlock the Brawl Pass. Say they need like another 20 gems or something like that. So now you don't have to like start from scratch after you buy the Brawl Pass just to progress. You could just bang through your Brawl Pass right away as soon as you buy it. So I think that's another nice feature added into the game. So overall, like I said, small W, it is a quality of life feature that is nice to have into the game. So I'm happy it got addressed, and I'm going to call it out here. All right, and I hate to do this, but I'm going to say the lack of new content in this update is a giant L, and I feel like the end of the season is going to be very stale for a lot of people, maybe myself included. I don't know for sure, but I'm not going to be surprised if I get a little bored of the game come August. Now, let me clarify, I am by no means saying this is a bad update. I just ran through a whole list of W's saying why I think this update's pretty solid. But I have to call it out that there's no real new content being added into the game as it stands right now. Yes, we're getting 2 new brawlers in this update, and I am very excited to play both of them, like I said at the beginning of the video. And yes, there are star drops being added into the game, which is technically new content, right? But also it's just a reallocation of the rewards we're already getting. So it's not really new content in my opinion. It might be a small buff to progression, which is a nice thing, but it's not real new content. It doesn't keep you coming back to the game every day, like wanting to play the game. It might even make it more of a chore, honestly. But when we look at the big picture, they're not adding a whole bunch of new features into the game. They're not adding new game modes. They're not adding new weekend events. They're not adding anything for Map Maker. None of that stuff is being added into the game. And I'm not trying to sound negative here. I think, like I said, it's a solid update. But before people start saying this is a 9 or a 10 out of 10 update, I have to call it out here. There's nothing new being added to the game. It's going to be the same game at the end of August that it was at the beginning of June. So overall, I think it's a little disappointing to have the summer update with no real new content other than Brawlers and a star drop feature. But that's just my opinion. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Let me know if you enjoyed this video. If you made it this far and you enjoyed my rambling, make sure you leave a like on the video. And if you're new, consider dropping a sub as well. But that's going to do it for this one. I want to thank you guys for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.